Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Terrifying Tuesday on this channel where we talk about all things horror. And today we have some possible Friday the 13th news. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so first off, I want to address the Friday the 13th movie because there has been something said recently that I've heard a couple places that maybe James Wan wants to direct a whole thing with Blumhouse wanting to get it and potentially get James Wan involved. I would be immensely excited for this. However, I don't see James Wan directing this movie because I don't see Blumhouse getting rights to it. We've been hearing this for months upon months. Let's say in a perfect world, James Wan does direct because Blumhouse does get rights to it. It would be epic. It would be great because he is a pretty good horror director. And just seeing what he can do with that franchise would be incredible. However, that's not our main news for today because our main news has to do with the Friday the 13th series. That's right, the Friday the 13th series now has an actual filming date, sort of. They are planning to film this summer. So we can expect the series to be released later on this year, possibly early next year. But this is exciting news because this is the first real movement we've heard since the whole thing got pushed back because of the writer's strike. And then before that, it got pushed back for other reasons and other things going on. And a lot of people were waiting for this series. And now I feel as though everybody has sort of forgotten about it. But we haven't forgotten about it. The Friday the 13th fans haven't forgotten about this possible series, and they're excited to see what is going to be the premise of the series. The only thing we do know, if it still holds true, is that Adrienne King, who played Alice in the very first Friday the 13th film, is part of the cast. She has a role in the show. And a lot of people do speculate that she is playing Pamela Voorhees. Now, I don't know about this because we don't know when the timeline for this entire thing is. If they are going back to a time when Pamela Voorhees was the killer, then I do feel like Adrienne King might be too old for that because remember there was several summers where things were going mysteriously wrong. If we're actually exploring some of that, then you're going to need a much younger person playing Pamela Voorhees. However, we do know what they said. They said that they would be able to use Jason Voorhees in the series, and that when they could use Jason Voorhees in the series, they could use any incarnation of him they wanted due to the fact that it's a streaming service. And that's basically what it boils down to. This A24 series is a streaming service series and can actually be sort of its own thing. Doesn't have to play by the rules of the movie, which I never heard that before. But when this whole thing was coming out and I heard that, that is super exciting to hear because that does mean we can get the Jason Voorhees of any of the films. We can get that look, that iconic look we all want. And just seeing that whole thing happen would be cool. However, they are going back to an older time when Pamela Voorhees is much younger. Then no, Adrienne King is not going to be playing Pamela Voorhees, which means she would have to be playing someone new, someone completely original. And I'm down for that. I'm down for that as a thing too. Although, we have to look at it this way. If it's only one flashback scene that she's in, if it's only one summer, or they do the first movie, then yes, maybe she could play Pamela Voorhees. If the first season is following the events of the very first Friday the 13th film, then I could see her playing Pamela Voorhees because that is still a much older Pamela Voorhees, and it would work. The question then remains that if this is going to take place over an entire season, Would we get a look at Pamela Voorhees and some of her ideas and thoughts? Would we get a story revolving around her, or would we get the story revolving around the campers? Because honestly, a lot of how this series is looked at is going to depend upon what they do. And since filming hasn't even begun, and it has been sort of kept under wraps as to what exactly they are planning to do with the series, we've been getting just tiny little hints here and there with them saying they can use Jason, with them saying that they were going to kind of tell the story of certain things. We've been getting these little hints, but we still don't know exactly what the truth of this entire series is. All we can do, since we don't know for sure, is guess. And from what we have heard, each season may in fact be one of the movies. This is actually kind of a theory that has been floating around for a while. And it comes due to the fact that they said that if they last 9 seasons, they could potentially have Jason in space. And that's something to consider. That's something that might actually be fun to see them do. I don't know if that ever comes to fruition. I don't know what their plans are for the character, for the show. However, what I do know is that this is actually still pretty exciting news, because the idea of us getting a Friday the 13th series has always been something that has intrigued me. The fact that we can get movies and franchises that exist in the horror universe that are popular done this way is exciting. Look at Chucky, look at Psycho. They did really amazing. And then you do have some that were kind of more divisive. But this isn't a new thing to happen in the horror movie industry. It's just a new thing for the Friday the 13th series. Now, there was a different Friday the 13th series a very long time ago, but that didn't involve Jason in any way. That involved supernatural artifacts. It was a whole nother story. This one is exciting to the fans of the Friday the 13th movie. This is the one you guys have been waiting for. The only question becomes, does it rehash the story we've heard before? Does it tell it to us in a prequel? Do we get this story where we go back in time and learn what made Pamela Voorhees tick? Do we go back in time and we figure out how Pamela Voorhees operated? How she became the psychopath that raised Jason? How far back do we go with this series? That's the real question. If they do it the way people are hoping, then Jason Voorhees is always going to be in it. I had even heard one rumor that the series would jump back and forth between time, that there would be some incidences where we would see a prequel in the form of a flashback, where we would kind of get to see Pamela Voorhees doing her thing, while in the actual reality of the series, Jason Voorhees would be going on his own personal rampage. If they choose to do that, that would be fun. That would be something new we hadn't seen before, something that would give us sort of the history of the family, maybe the entire Voorhees family, but also give us the kind of look at what Jason might be doing now. Maybe it does start taking place for each film, and during each one of these episodes, we're getting flashbacks to the time before, to before Jason was born, or even after Jason was born, after his death, when Pamela Voorhees was younger. Maybe we are going to get some of that within this series. I think that that would be a really cool thing to do, especially if they are going to tell each season as one of the movies. Then I think that would be the way to do it, to kind of have these flashbacks in between to kind of let us know what happened before, maybe get a flashback into the Voorhees family. I think something like that could work really well. But we don't know yet because it's all purely just speculation. Right now, that's what we have going on. That's what they've given us so far. We do know that it is scheduled to start filming, and at least that's something with this series. But I want to know what you guys think because we have talked about this series before. I want to know what you guys think this series should be about, what you think it could be about. Do you think they're going to tell us a different movie each season? Do you think we're going to get flashbacks to a younger Pamela Voorhees? Do you think Adrienne King is going to be playing Pamela Voorhees? Whatever you guys think, let us know in the comment box below. Make sure you're sharing this video with all of your friends because they're going to want to be a part of the conversation as well. Then don't forget to hit that like button. It's free. We appreciate it. Miko says we need more subscribers. You don't want to disappoint Miko, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. And friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.